every iconic F1 circuit.
Niki versus Hunt.
James Hunt and Niki Lauda battle for the 1976 World Championship, a season decided by just 1 point, the narrowest margin in F1 history at the time. Lauda suffers life-threatening burns at the Nürburgring, surviving 45% body surface damage before returning to racing 6 weeks later with bandaged head and impaired vision. Hunt is disqualified from the Spanish Grand Prix but reinstated on appeal, preserving his mathematical chance at the title. At the final race in Japan, Lauda retires after 2 laps due to heavy rain, citing safety concerns, while Hunt finishes third to claim the championship by that single point. The contrast between their personalities, Lauda's calculated precision and Hunt's flamboyant risk-taking, becomes legendary, later dramatized in the 2013 film Rush. Their rivalry redefines what it means to push physical and mental limits in motorsport. That clash of styles sets a template for future duels where personal philosophy shapes competition as much as lap times do.
Schumacher versus Häkkinen.
Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen are separated by only 14 points in the 1998 championship, a year defined by tyre strategy and relentless pressure at high-speed circuits like Spa and Suzuka. In 1999, Schumacher breaks his leg during a start-line collision at Silverstone, forcing him to miss 6 races.
If only he would drop that giant trophy on his foot.
And handing Häkkinen the opening he needs to secure back-to-back titles. Their final showdown occurs at the 1998 Japanese Grand Prix in torrential rain, where Häkkinen overtakes Schumacher after a critical pit stop error cost Ferrari 19 seconds. Both drivers retire within 3 years of each other. Häkkinen after 2001, Schumacher after 2006, marking the end of an era defined by equal technical parity and psychological warfare. Despite intense competition, neither speaks ill of the other publicly, recognizing mutual respect forged through near-identical performance levels. This balance of excellence paves the way for more volatile teammate dynamics in the following decade.
Hamilton versus Rosberg.
Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg compete as Mercedes teammates from 2014 to 2016, finishing first and second in the standings in all 3 seasons, tied in both 2014 and 2015 before Hamilton wins the 2016 title. Rosberg secures 22 race victories and 30 pole positions across his career, with his only championship coming in 2016 after a controversial collision with Hamilton at the Austrian Grand Prix, a 38G impact that drew FIA scrutiny. Mercedes is fined $50,000 for issuing team orders during the 2013 season, highlighting tensions management tries to suppress. Days after clinching the 2016 title, Rosberg announces his retirement, leaving the team without its co-champion. The rivalry, fueled by shared living arrangements early in their careers, turns increasingly adversarial as stakes rise. This sudden exit shifts Mercedes' focus entirely to Hamilton, reshaping team dynamics heading into the Verstappen era.
Alonso versus Schumacher.
Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher's rivalry peaks between 2005 and 2006, when Alonso becomes the youngest Formula One world champion at age 24 while driving for Renault, ending Schumacher's 5-year reign with Ferrari. Schumacher finishes second in both seasons, unable to overcome Renault's superior race strategy and tyre management. In the 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix, Schumacher blocks Alonso during qualifying, earning a penalty that costs him pole position, an act interpreted psychological resistance to being overtaken by a younger generation. The so-called test war between teams leads to the introduction of the 107% rule, limiting excessive private track sessions. The 2007 Spygate scandal involving leaked Ferrari data further taints the period, though no direct link ties Alonso to espionage initially. This generational shift signals the decline of driver dominance in favor of engineering-led performance.
Piquet Jr. versus Alonso.
Nelson Piquet Jr. and Fernando Alonso's intra-team conflict at Renault culminates in the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, where Piquet Jr. deliberately crashes on lap 14 to trigger a safety car that benefits Alonso's race strategy. The move helps Alonso win the race and maintain title contention, but remains unproven until Piquet Jr. reveals the conspiracy in 2009 after being dropped by the team. The FIA investigation confirms the crash was premeditated, leading to indefinite bans for Renault, executive Flavio Briatore, and engineer Pat Simmons. Piquet Jr. is cleared of wrongdoing due to coercion claims, becoming the first documented case of race fixing in modern F1 history. Alonso denies prior knowledge and faces no sanctions, but public suspicion lingers. This scandal forces stricter oversight of team communications and introduces ethics monitoring in paddock operations.
Vettel versus Webber.
Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber race as Red Bull teammates from 2010 to 2013, during which Webber wins 9 races but never seriously challenges for a championship, while Vettel claims 4 consecutive titles starting in 2010. Tensions peak at the 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix when Vettel disobeys team order multi-21 and overtakes Webber for the win, sparking internal conflict. Webber responds with a sarcastic radio message, not bad for a number 2, highlighting perceived favouritism toward Vettel. Despite strong performances, Webber is not retained beyond 2013. Replaced by Daniel Ricciardo, Red Bull's decision reflects a strategic pivot toward younger talent, acknowledging Vettel as the team's primary asset. This breakdown in team unity foreshadows future struggles with driver hierarchy under increasing media scrutiny.
Prost versus Senna.
Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna dominate Formula One from 1988 to 1990, combining for 25 wins in 3 seasons, while teammates at McLaren, where Prost accumulates 4 world titles and Senna 3. Their rivalry intensifies after collisions at Suzuka in both 1980-90, each incident deciding the championship. In 1989, Senna is disqualified for missing a chicane after being pushed off track by Prost, handing Prost the title. The following year, Senna dedicates his victory to Prost before launching into Turn 1 at full speed, eliminating Prost on the first lap in retaliation. Senna calls Prost a coward in interviews, while Prost criticises Senna's unpredictability. These confrontations redefine teammate tolerance, proving that even shared garages can't contain personal ambition.
Ricciardo versus Verstappen.
Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen compete at Toro Rosso in 2014-2015, before Verstappen's surprise promotion to Red Bull in 2016, skipping seniority over Ricciardo. Verstappen wins the Spanish Grand Prix on his debut for the senior team, signalling Red Bull's long-term investment in the 18-year-old Dutch driver. Ricciardo secures 7 victories with Red Bull between 2014 and 2018, including hat-tricks in Monaco, Baku and Mexico, but sees diminishing support as resources shift toward Verstappen. He leaves the team after 2018, joining Renault amid declining competitiveness. Verstappen describes the transition as natural progression, downplaying any personal tension. This succession model repeats across top teams, prioritizing youth and marketability over loyalty.
Hamilton versus Verstappen.
Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's 2021 championship battle features 7 lead changes across the season, 18 combined penalties issued by stewards, and a decisive final lap collision at Abu Dhabi under controversial safety car procedures. Hamilton records the fastest lap in 13 of 22 races, while Verstappen wins 10 races to Hamilton's 8. The title is decided by a single point after FIA allows only the top 5 cars behind the safety car to unlap themselves, enabling Verstappen to restart directly behind Hamilton and pass him for the win. Post-race investigations reveal procedural irregularities but uphold the result. The incident triggers governance reforms in race control communication protocols. This outcome deepens fan polarization and raises questions about sporting integrity at the highest level.
Clark versus Hill.
Jim Clark and Graham Hill race as teammates at Lotus throughout the 1960s, sharing 50 podium finishes and 35 wins between them without a single recorded collision or public dispute. Clark wins 2 championships, 1963-1965, while Hill claims 1, 1962, representing a golden era of sportsmanship in team dynamics. Clark dies in a 1968 Formula 2 crash at Hockenheim, shocking the motorsport world. Hill honours his legacy by winning the Monaco Grand Prix weeks later, dedicating the victory to his late teammate. Their respectful rivalry stands in stark contrast to later eras marked by intra-team aggression and media leaks. This model of professionalism influences team culture for decades, even as competition grows fiercer.
Fangio versus Ascari.
Juan Manuel Fangio wins 5 Formula One World Championships, 1951, 1954, 1957, competing for Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Mercedes and Ferrari, while Alberto Ascari claims consecutive titles in 1952 and 1953, with Ferrari dominating early F1 with 9 wins in 10 races. Their rivalry symbolises a national narrative, Argentina versus Italy, amplified by press outlets constructing Cold War-era mythos around their personas. Ascari vanishes in 1955 after crashing during a non-championship test at Monza. His body never recovered, turning him into a legend overnight. Fangio is kidnapped by Cuban revolutionaries in 1958, held for 29 hours, then released unharmed before returning to racing days later. These real-life dramas overshadow statistical comparisons, elevating both men beyond mere competitors. In this formative period, storytelling matters as much as results, laying groundwork for F1's future as global entertainment.
Raikkonen versus Grosjean.
Kimi Räikkönen and Romain Grosjean share the Lotus F1 team from 2012 to 2013, during which Räikkönen records 1 victory and 13 podium finishes, more than double Grosjean's total of 6. In qualifying sessions across those 2 seasons, Räikkönen outperforms Grosjean 18-6, establishing a consistent edge in single-lap pace that reflects his experience and technical consistency. Grosjean earns a 1-race suspension in 2012 after causing 3 separate first-lap collisions in the Cordillera. Collisions in the opening 4 races, prompting FIA stewards to intervene with disciplinary action, uncommon for midfield drivers. Räikkönen publicly refers to Grosjean as the one who crashes, a remark made during a post-race interview in Japan 2012, highlighting internal tensions within the team over reliability and responsibility. Despite improvements in Grosjean's driving, particularly in 2013 when he secures 5 podiums, he never matches Räikkönen's Brausewood, race day composure or qualifying precision. The gap between them widens under pressure, especially at high-speed circuits like Spa and Suzuka, where clean laps are critical and mistakes costly. The Finnish driver's calm under stress becomes a benchmark within the garage, one that the younger Frenchman struggles to meet. That dynamic of seasoned veteran versus developing talent repeats in different form when Red Bull pits Daniel Ricciardo against Max Verstappen just a few years later.